Being set apart isn't rejection, it's refinement. Marcus had always felt different. As a child, while others raced around the playground, he often sat alone sketching intricate worlds in his notebook. In high school, when his peers were focused on fitting in, he found himself naturally stepping to the rhythm of a different drummer. Not because he wanted to stand out, but because somehow, he just couldn't blend in no matter how hard he tried. "Why can't you just be normal?" his father would ask, frustration etching lines around his eyes. "Join a team, go to parties, do what everyone else is doing." But Marcus couldn't explain the restlessness that kept him searching for something more meaningful than the Friday night lights and weekend parties. This difference, this perpetual feeling of being set apart, felt like a burden, a cosmic error that had placed him in the wrong story. College wasn't much different. While his roommates built connections that would become their professional networks, Marcus spent hours in the studio, hands covered in clay, sculpting figures that seemed to emerge from the material rather than being created by his hands. His professors noticed, his classmates admired his work. But socially, the distance remained. "You have a gift," his art professor told him one evening as they walked across the empty campus. "But gifts often come with a price." "Loneliness?" Marcus asked, half joking. The professor stopped walking and turned to him with unexpected seriousness. "Being set apart isn't rejection, Marcus, it's refinement. Gold doesn't become pure by sitting in a comfortable room with other metals. It's heated, melted, separated." The words lingered in Marcus's mind as he graduated and moved to a small apartment in the city. While his classmates entered corporate jobs with clear trajectories, he worked odd jobs that barely covered rent, dedicating every spare moment to his sculptures. His parents worried, his friends drifted away, absorbed in their own careers and growing families. Sometimes, late at night, doubt would creep in like a shadow. Had he made a terrible mistake? Was his difference not special, but simply self-sabotage? Then came the winter when everything fell apart. His part-time job disappeared in company-wide layoffs. His heat barely worked, his savings dwindled to nothing. On a particularly dark night, he seriously considered packing up his tools and applying for corporate jobs like his father had always suggested. Instead, he channeled his desperation into a new sculpture larger and more ambitious than anything he'd attempted before. Working through the night, he crafted a human figure emerging from rough stone, face tilted upward, hands reaching toward light. It was pain and hope intertwined, vulnerability and strength captured in a single moment of transformation. When he finally collapsed into sleep near dawn, he didn't know that this piece would change everything. A gallery owner, visiting the small cafe where Marcus washed dishes, saw photos of his work on the cafe owner's phone. "Who made this?" she demanded. 3 months later, Marcus stood in a crowded gallery, watching as strangers moved around his sculptures with reverent expressions. Critics used words like visionary and authentic voice. A museum curator asked about commission possibilities. His parents stood awkwardly in the corner, his father's expression a mixture of confusion and dawning pride. "I don't understand how you did this," he admitted later that night. "I didn't know either," Marcus replied honestly. "I just couldn't do anything else." As his reputation grew, Marcus hired assistants, young artists who reminded him of himself, a little awkward, a little apart, bursting with visions they couldn't always explain. One afternoon, he found a young woman sitting alone during the lunch break, sketching while the others chatted. "It's hard, isn't it?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Feeling like you don't quite fit?" She looked up, surprised by his directness. "Sometimes I wonder if there's something wrong with me," she admitted. Marcus shook his head. "Being set apart isn't rejection, it's refinement. You're not alone, you're anointed. The very things that make you different are preparing you for a purpose that only you can fulfill." He thought back to all those lonely nights, the doubts, the struggle. They hadn't been punishment, they had been preparation. The solitude had given him space to develop his unique vision. The financial struggles had pushed him to create his most powerful work. Even the social awkwardness had protected his authentic voice from being diluted by others' expectations. What had felt like rejection had been refinement, all along, a sacred setting apart for a purpose that could only be fulfilled by walking the harder path, by embracing the difference rather than fighting against it. That night, Marcus added the finishing touches to his newest sculpture, a phoenix rising from broken chains, its wings spread wide, catching light in a way that transformed ordinary bronze into something that seemed to glow from within. Just like the human spirit, refined by fire, set apart not to be isolated, but to be transformed into something extraordinary.